and hit record. Perfect. And I'm going to record as a backup. As mentioned, definitely keep your chat window open. And I'm going to shut up and let you have a great interview.
Thanks, Annie. I appreciate it. Hey guys, my name is James Masella from Movie Death Blows. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Gordon, first question I have for you is how did the idea for Wild Eyed and Wicked come to be? How did it become a movie?
Thank you. Glad to be here. Yes, that's question I get asked a lot. And the simplest answer is that it was sort of a triangulation of a few things. Because I wanted to make something medieval, even though I have limitations. I want to do something medieval. I want to do something on my family's farm. We have a working produce farm in Pennsylvania. And also wanted to do something that brought in particularly all my wife's experiences, personal and professional, as a doctor working on the full patient, and helping people build paths to recovery. And I kind of just wanted to put all that together and triangulate it into a script and make a great movie.
Yeah, no problem. Stephanie, your character Sylvia, this movie doesn't ease you in. It kind of just hits you with a bang, literally right away.
Yeah,
What was
literally.
it like? What was it like for you playing Sylvia?
It was a fantastic experience. I was so grateful for the opportunity to get to play a wonderfully complex woman. I think Sylvia's so interesting because we get to see these two sides of her that are really dueling with each other in the movie and are a catalyst for Lily's sort of the journey that she goes on. Yeah, so it was an exciting opportunity because I knew it was a role that I wanted to put my heart into, and also exciting because I don't want to spoil anything, but I get to do like some stunts and some kind of some creepy stuff, which was a delight. I love getting to do that. So yeah, I was like, I'm in.
Just
Can't
to
wait to
follow,
get to
just to
Pennsylvania.
follow up on the stunts and stuff like that. Like when we see like the creatures and the monsters, like are you always in there? Is it any CGI or is it all just like practical makeup and stuff like that we see you in?
I think it's Gordon. This is more. I think
All
it's
you,
Yeah,
practical.
all you, Stephanie. Except for I guess we're
Terrifying.
spoiling some things, but yes, the eyes are the only VFX.
Gotcha.
Which is a terrifying thing to know after seeing the movie. I'm like, oh, that's all me. Oh,
that's what I look like.
yeah.
Michael, you have one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie when you're teaching your daughter in the movie, Lily Pierce, that she's a fencer, but she's not a sword fighter. She doesn't understand how to use the swords in a way to like
Yeah,
hurt things. And like you're
yeah,
like taking it, you're showing her how to do it. Did you have any sword
yeah.
fighting experience coming into that? Is it the first time you ever held like a 16th century sword or something at that point?
A little bit. In acting, I was doing some Shakespeare. We do some sword fighting and stuff like that. So I remember, yeah, their broadswords was very, they're heavy.
Heavy, yeah.
So that was the difference between, it was more common to use fencing because they're so light and you can whip them around. But yeah, but Gordon, you have to help me with some names, but she was so
Yeah,
excellent.
Julia Hopkins, the fight choreographer.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
so excellent, the stunt coordinator and the fight choreographer, and she really helped there. And that was a magical day. I felt. We kind of got out in a field there, and we're like, the sun's going down. Let's get this shot in, and I just felt real akin with Molly at that point, which was exactly what was supposed to be going on between the characters. So it was quite magical.
Yeah, most father daughters bond over sword fighting,
That's right.
creatures at that point. So Gordon, I want to tell you, I'm doing this interview from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. That's where I'm from originally. I know you're out.
I could have come in person. What are we doing?
I'm right in Warrington, right down the street, man.
Yeah, I could just
Wow.
I'm in Melbourne, so yeah, we could have just driven over.
That's why I was excited to talk to you guys about this, because it was, I know you filmed it on your family's farm up in Chester County and stuff like that. Do you want to bring more of your movies to Pennsylvania? Because I'm always a proponent of people bringing their movies to Philadelphia, like M. Night Shyamalan does and stuff like that. Do you want to shoot a lot of stuff here?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, all of my professional short films after college have all been shot in Chester County. Um, and yeah, I mean, I've Chester County is what I love. I have more movies written for the Pennsylvania area and for Maryland. Um, but yeah, again, but there's definitely some like I love the Philadelphia Film Office. The people there are great. But there's no doubt that I think Philadelphia as a state, or Philadelphia state, Pennsylvania state could be still doing maybe a little bit more to encourage filming in PA. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, you know, there's things about the tax credit program that I know have left a lot of indie filmmakers unhappy.
To say the least, yeah.
Yeah, to say the least. So that's a whole tangential thing. But you know, I know that particularly the really wonderful people at the Philadelphia Film Office, and I think even one time I spoke briefly to the people at like the Pittsburgh Film Office, and they were all great. So it's a lot of lovely people in the state doing great things.
You know, I was reading through the production notes, Gordon, and I noticed that it said when we see Lily's character in the armor with the faceplate down, that's not actually Molly in there. That's your wife,
That's
Elizabeth.
my wife. Yeah. And yeah, so she is an enormous part of this film because of how she, you know, affected every stage of it. And yes, so she every time the faceplate is down on the armor, that's my wife. And she does the sword fighting, she does the horseback riding, which are things that she prepared for at least 2 months for the sword fighting, more like 3 for some of the horseback riding. And my sister on the farm is a horse trainer, so my sister was working with her to get her ready for those. Those are the big scenes, you know, because if we're gonna have a knight, you gotta have the knight in armor on horseback. But there's a lot of preparation that went into that. These are not things that my wife was experienced in, but my wife is brilliant and very good at physical learning. She's a lifelong ballerina in addition to being a medical doctor. So she knows all about learning choreography and being, you know, acquiring enormous physical strength to do, you know, very complex tasks.
Was Molly disappointed she didn't get to put the faceplate down and do any writing or anything
Oh,
like that, or she was cool with it?
Well, Molly also did do some serious sword training as well in Los Angeles because there is still fighting she does when the faceplate isn't on. So Molly still had plenty to do and was great at it. In so many ways, it's like any movie. I mean, you have stunt people do things because it's correct for safety, it's correct for time. You know, there'd be no reason that, you know, Molly, whose face we have to see for, you know, 90% of the movie, you know, there's no reason that we need to be throwing her into, you know, 3 a.m. battle sequences. It just, you know, so yeah, it's like, yeah.
You know, Stefanie, you've been in 3 of the most interesting projects I have ever seen, including this one. It's this one, The Consultant, and Legion. They're like 3 of the most interesting things I've ever watched. How do you keep getting cast in these things that blow my mind at that point? I can't even understand them.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm so happy that you said that. I am drawn to like interesting, complex projects, which I think this one is. I think Legion is. I think The Consultant is. And I don't know, maybe it's just a kismet of the industry and the universe and my own personal preferences merging together. Yeah, I wish I had a precise answer as to why, but I can only chalk it up to like good luck and being clear about who you want to work with and the projects that you want to be considered for and push for, you know.
You know, I know you have a stage background. You know, you trained with David Mamet at NYU. I had interviewed
Yeah.
Skeet Ulrich, who had also trained with him years
Oh
ago. But
wow, yeah.
when I was talking to Skeet, I was asking him, like, do you like he's I know him more from horror, but I'm curious, like, do you more like the fantasy realm, or do you like things that are more grounded in reality to be in?
Um, well, here's what I'll say. I love my favorite thing is like horror that is and thrillers that have a grounding to them, which I think this falls into that category like exquisitely because this has like a magical element, but it's also grounded in like the very real experience of personal trauma and generational trauma. So I think those are my favorite projects that combine like the unexpected, the surreal, the fantasy realm, but tie into a really grounded personal emotion or experience.
Sure. You know, Michael, when I saw that you were on this casting sheet, I was excited for the interview because I was a huge fan of Sense8, and Bug is one of my favorite characters
Oh,
ever. It was just so interesting. I didn't expect to like the show as much as I did, but you know, you come into this movie as Gregory, and I know you more from like, you know, the comedic, you know, having fun kind of Bug and Sense8. Was it hard for you to kind of transition to the kind of haunted Gregory in this movie?
well, yes and no. You know, I had done a lot of just wackier characters, and this being a more grounded father type figure and who's troubled, so that helps me out there because that's in my comfort zone. But yeah, the challenge was and it always is really to how to, for me, I'm trying to walk the line always between a believable but somebody who's a little out there, like I am personally. And there was no different there with Gregory, but somebody who's struggling with depression. That was as much of the problem to surmount in my mind. How to make somebody who's struggling with depression aren't generally very likable people, and you wouldn't necessarily want to hang out with them too much. But how do you also sympathize with that person?
Sure. You know, Gordon, Mike Flanagan's been in the news because he just got the new Exorcist movie. And when I was watching Wild Eye and Wiki, I felt like I got a lot of Mike Flanagan inspiration in this, just from watching Haunting of Hill House and The Fall of the House of Usher. Did you take any inspiration from him or any other like horror or fantasy directors or anything like
Oh,
that?
he's my favorite horror director, so there you go. Absolutely. You know, I particularly studied Flanagan and James Wan and how they do their scare sequences, because they're very, very crafted. And absolutely, they were great people to study. And Haunting of Hill House is one of my favorite series of all time.
I mean, I definitely watched Haunting of Hill House with the lights on just because, like, you know, like you said, Michael and James do creepiness better than anybody, like the eerie feel of everything like that. And like when Molly's character is looking around, you just see like eyes in the corner or a hand over here. I was like,
Yeah.
especially,
And I even
go ahead.
also, for anybody that wants to watch closely, that there are ways in which Flanagan hides things. There is some hidden things in this movie that not everybody has found. So
The other one I was gonna say was Jordan Peele, just from Nope, like when Lily's filming the barn scene and you see like that thing move kind of in the background. I was like, oh Lord, was not expecting that.
sure, yeah, Nope was amazing. That I think that was Nope came out like August of 2022. I remember seeing that. That was one of only two times I've seen a movie alone because no one at the time no one wanted to see it with me, just because I don't know, people off on summer breaks and stuff. But yeah, I had a great time. Love Nope.
Well, I'm on the press list for all these movies, so if you want to go to something, you just let me know. I'm on, you know, King of
I'll be
Prussia.
back.
We'll just
I'll have somebody to go with.
Gordon, what other projects are you going to be working on in the future after Wild Out and Wiki? Are there any ideas or plans for that coming up?
Oh yeah, well, you know, I'm writing up a storm. I I've written three screenplays. I mean, we shot this in June 2022, and that's just, you know, again, takes about a year to complete post and then another year for your festivals and distribution and release. So I've written three screenplays since we shot this. And would love to make them. But I'm also working very hard on a epic fantasy novel series, which is great because no one can say that we don't have the budget for it. So, you know, it's like 10 million creatures attack, and I'm good to go.
You know, Michael, I know you're a native Vermonter, but what was it like spending time up in the Philadelphia area, filming Wild Out and Wicked?
Well, my friends in Vermont might be surprised to say it felt very much at home, because we weren't in downtown Philadelphia. You know, we were. I think we were right where Gordon's sitting right now,
Yeah.
And it was wonderful, horses and fields and farms and lots of trees and old houses. It's older than Vermont, but not more than 100 years. So wait, no.
Like I tell
It
people,
felt very at home. I loved it. That was one of the big draws for me, was that location. And
I tell people all the time, when you film horror movies, you always want to do it in like the weird, like, the older colony states, the New England states, because
oh
those
yeah,
that's the stuff with the most history, that like people have been around for, that are haunted the most, I guess, basically.
oh absolutely. And I wasn't staying. They kindly put us up in a motel, but I knew why. It was because those houses are all haunted. Am I wrong, Gordon?
Well, there, the main house that we were filming all the exteriors in, which is right over, I'm looking at it,
Yeah.
old house. We had crew members staying there, the particularly people
Yeah.
that are there, like producers Pal and Patrick, who had had to be here also like a month ahead of time. So we had a little bit of ability to put people up. But it was also, though, when, because again, it's still a working farm, my parents, my uncle, his wife, my sister, her husband, they're all, working on the farm. And so there's like one, by the time I had everybody there, cast and crew there, they got to fortunately have a very idyllic experience. But there's also this sometimes less than idyllic thing, is like, I'm still like pausing tractors and getting in everybody's, way, because like it's still, again, it's a working environment. So it's shifting people around. And my poor parents, as we're like, all right, we're shooting again all night, sorry. But yeah, anyway, yes, old house is very fun.
And Stephanie, what was your overall take on filming Wild Out and Wicked? Did you have a great time with it? You'd come back and do it again here?
100%. 100%. Not only was it a story that I felt compelled to tell, but I'm getting like, it's such a treat when you get to work with people that turn into like your friends. They're not only your collaborators, but you're like, oh, I genuinely like hanging with these
Yeah.
people. It was like obviously some pretty heavy material that we were shooting, but the vibe and the attitude on set was, like, in between takes, was just so lovely and collaborative. And I remember techno dancing in the forest too. Some music that like, it was a family. It was so wonderful. Maybe there will be a part two.
I'm down to see it.
I
Gordon,
don't
what do
know.
you
I
think?
would come back. I don't know
No,
how that would happen, but
we'll keep on dreaming, keeping on making movies. And oh yeah, no, I'd love to keep going, of course.
Gordon, as a director, how did you settle on Molly as the Lily Pierce character? Were there any other actresses up for that part? Like, how did she get cast in that role?
Sure, it's a fun story, actually. So the Lily was the first person we knew we had to cast, because we knew we had to cast Lily first, because we were open to, anybody. It wasn't just like, so we were seeing people of, all races, etc., and that was going to then affect how clearly we have to, because her parents are in the movie, so that affect who the parents are. So we started that process in, oh God, I mean, if we shot in June, a while before, I can't remember how many months before, a lot, but and there was a lot of amazing tapes. Molly's tape, which was one of the earliest to come in, it was very, very clear to me that she was going to be our Lily, because already just from the tapes, I'm like, she's 90% there. And this is critical, because in a luxurious, big budget scenario, that would just be something nice, sure. But in a independent scenario, when we're never going to have enough time in our days, and shooting it in 16 days, knowing that, because I mean, Lily is 90% of the movie. I mean, in terms of like on screen, she's on screen a lot. I knew it was going to be someone that was going to have to be nailing things in 1 to 3 takes, and that was Molly. I mean, through the whole movie. I mean, 1 to 3 takes pretty much, and we're good. You know, so it's just like a pure necessity of time that she was that aligned in depth, you know, or had ingested the character so much by that point, so far ahead of time. But then she got cast in the NBC show The Irrational, which was shooting right before and so there's a question of, you know, because would COVID restrictions push them into us and everything. So that was very nerve-wracking. Ultimately it worked out. But yeah, that's my very long-winded answer to Molly. Amazing. Yeah.
You know, before we wrap, I'm sorry, Michael, last question I have for you. You got to work with Wachowskis a lot on Sense8, and you were in the Matrix Resurrections. What was it like working with them just in general, like on like these big projects, especially something like the Matrix, which has such cultural significance, especially now with AI and everything like that?
Well, it was fantastic. It was the best experience of my life, and particularly Sense8, which is just a personal thing because I just was a bigger part of that. My part in the Matrix was smaller, and the Matrix being a larger budget, you can get a little bit lost in the droves of I'm trying to give an army metaphor for, like, you know, troops that keep coming with the supply lines and the the technology and all of that. But the Wachowskis were just incredibly creative, but very hospitable. And you know, it's something that somehow they were able to do on a big budget, which we got on a small budget film like Gordon's, where people make the point to say, hey, you know, this is not just work. This is my life. And that was something that Lana Wachowski in particular instilled in me. Is like, why would I spend all my time with people that I don't want to spend time with? You know, why would I some butt kissing sycophant? Why am I hiring this person as opposed to somebody more authentic? And I think Stefanie was talking about that with the crew on Wild Eyed and Wicked and the cast and everything. But we had a good time, is because these are real people who enjoyed their craft, and we enjoyed each other, and we enjoyed what we were doing. And I mean, come on, you get to be having Stefanie like drink my blood, you know. I mean, that's heaven. Are you kidding me?
Not a spoiler at all. That's
Say, just know Michael spoiled that, not me. I didn't.
No. That doesn't happen. He's speaking metaphorically.
Yeah.
Oops.
That's it for me, guys. I appreciate you sitting down with me today. Stefanie, Gordon, Michael, thank you so much. And I can't wait for everybody to see Wild Eyed Wicked when it comes out in a few weeks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.